Hello. Thank you for tuning into my channel. This is Vlogmas in July 2024, day 1. So I'm so excited to get started with our Longarm series. If you want to be introduced or reintroduced to my Nolting Hobby Quilter, please stay tuned. I am so excited about this year's Vlogmas in July. If you looked right now throughout my sewing room, you'll see a variety of projects in different stages of being made. I even have stuff on the floor. I have stuff on this machine. I got something working on that machine. The ironing board is busy. I even have something on the Longarm. So I'm very looking forward to getting all these projects, sharing the videos with you, and getting your feedback, answering any questions you have about these videos. Since it's Monday for Vlogmas this year is going to be a long arm series. So I have a long arm that I purchased on Facebook Marketplace back in 2021. I think it is a 2010 model, but I'm not sure. And it's turned out to be really good for me. So we'll go through it today. I made a video when I first got it, but I've learned a little bit more about it. So I'm excited to share what I've learned with you. If you are interested in this machine, you can go check, or any of the Nolting machines, you can check them out at their website. I'll put their website below. But let's go ahead and take a look at my long arm. We can start by looking at this machine itself. As I said, it is a Nolting Hobby Quilter. And this is the actual machine. Here, I'm zooming out just a little bit. You can see it says Hobby Quilter there. It has a 16-inch throat. So it has a pretty big sewing area. And it has the handles where you can sew either from the front of the machine or the back of the machine. It is completely manual though, so no stitch regulator, no you can't put the software on it. It's completely manual. This is the back of the machine, so I can sew from the back and then stitch. The stitches will show up on the quilt top here, and then here's the other side. So it's a really, it's a hard working machine. For me, it does well. It is not a perfect machine, but I'm sure that's user error. And let's see, it says the serial number is 195. So I'm not sure how old it is. It may be even older than 2010. But either way, really cool machine. You're going to see me stitching mid progress because I do have a quilt on the long arm right now, and I will show you some of those stitches. What I have done already is I've warmed up the machine. The book that I have for it was written by, let me grab it, because when I called Nolting, they suggested that I get this book, and I got it, and it's very helpful because it's specific to the Nolting machine. So it's the Guide to Quilting with Your Nolting by Joyce and Ronald Blowers. And they own the Delightful Sewing and Quilting shop in New York. And it has everything that I would need to know about my Nolting. This is the page that I use the most about thread tension. So these pages are the ones that I use the most. And then at the back, I use the thread breakage page because I do have some issues with thread breakage. I'm not sure why, but you know, overall, I've figured out how to get through those issues quickly. So I use this book to help me get started. This machine is actually on a Hinterberg frame. I don't know if they make Hinterberg frames anymore, but it is, it has all these little sprockets and things on it. So again, everything is manual. So whatever I have to do on it, I have to do it by hand with these rollers. It has three rollers, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. I don't use the one at the very front because that would be for rolling batting and your quilt top on it, but I float my quilt top so you can see it here. The binding is on both rollers, but my quilt top and my batting are not on a roller. And that helps to advance the quilt a little bit more evenly for me. What else? Let's see. I guess we can go through threading the machine right quick. This machine uses an L bobbin. I have one in my pocket. The book says to warm up the machine for about 5 minutes. So I have the thread on this over here. So I've already warmed up the machine for 5 minutes. I'm lifting the needle here. And here is the L bobbin. It's a little bit bigger than the bobbin for my domestic machine. But there is a bigger one. There's an M bobbin, but I don't use that one on this machine. Okay, so I'm just going to take the bobbin out, the bobbin case out, and I'm going to insert. I'm doing this one-handed, so we'll see how it works. I'm going to put the bobbin in here and thread it right quick. Sorry, I dropped you. And then I'll insert the bobbin here. We'll get the machine threaded, and then I'll show you where I am in the process of quilting this. Let's see. So this is my thread here, my thread holder. It goes up, and then in the bottom of this piece, and then it has this, and it goes down, up, down, around, over, under. And now I do something interesting because I realized that my pigtail here, it has a nick in it. So I bypass this when I'm stitching because I thought that's why my thread was breaking. And when I examined it, that's what it was. It has a nick in it. And I don't think that there's a way to replace it, but I haven't taken the machine in for service yet either. So let's see. And here we go. So I'm going to bypass this. Then I'll go around, and it does have a light. Around. Let me see. I'm going to sit you right here for just a second. Okay. I know you can't see here. I'll zoom out a little bit. All right. Here. All right. And so I put it through there. And now it's going to go through the needle. And the needle, of course, is a little bit bigger than my than the domestic machine. Okay. Because of the L bobbin, I do have a bobbin winder. I'll show you that in a little bit. But let's do a little basting. I'm going to put you on a stand, and then we'll baste this quilt. And I've already advanced it here. So it's already where I need to stitch, but I'm going to baste the sides. Then we're going to clamp it and do a little bit of stitching. I'm going to baste this side of the quilt. I do need to bring the bobbin thread up. And so I'm just going to turn the wheel and bring that bobbin thread up. Let me see if you can see it. Yeah. All right. And my bobbin right now is a little low. I know it's going to run out pretty soon, but hopefully I'll be able to baste the quilt first and do a little bit of quilting before it runs. I've pulled the bobbin thread up, and now I need to manually lock the stitch. Oh, sorry. I bumped you. I didn't mean to. And so to do that, I'm just going to lift the needle or lower the needle and then raise it. I normally do 3 times, 2 and 3. And then I start stitching. And what I'm going to do is just take a straight stitch until wherever the machine stops. And I've already stay stitch this around the edge. And so I'm basically trying to follow that line. It's never really perfect, but I just do the best I can, trying to stay within 1/8 of an inch. So here we go. Okay, and so that's where it stopped, and it stopped a little close to you. Sorry about that. And then I'm gonna take the thread. I'm gonna get ready to cut it. So I just go away from it and then pull it back up. And then the bobbin thread should come out. But I think for some reason, I think it broke this time. I think, yeah, the bobbin thread broke. And that happens to me from time to time. Not sure why, but I'm just gonna pull the bobbin out. And you can see that it stopped. And it's kind of hanging right there. So I'm just going to take that out, rethread, and then take it to the other side and do the same thing. And then we'll get ready to do some quilting. I am sort of out of order right now, and I don't know, but let's do the other side. I'll bring you over. We'll stitch the other side, get it basted, and then we'll get ready to do a little bit of quilting. So here we go. And for some reason, all the other videos I watched about this, they did the right side going from the top to the bottom, but on the left side, they go from the bottom to the top. And again, I'm not sure why, but since they do it that way, I'm going to do it this way. Let me see. I'm going to put you on the others. I don't know if it's better that you're on my left side or my right side, but we'll just put you right there, and hopefully my arm won't be in the way. So again, bring up my bobbin thread and then lock the stitch. 1, 2, can you see that? Yeah. And 3. And then hopefully on my next machine that will be computerized, it will have a basting stitch and like a channel lock. So the channel lock goes horizontally, but this basting stitch, it'll be vertical, and I don't have to manually do this. I'll still have to guide the machine, but I won't have to, the stitches will be much looser. My basting stitches are very tight. And so I'm just going to where they stopped, or where I estimate that they stopped. And then same thing, lift and lower. And then there's my basting thread, or my bobbin thread. It came up, and now I can give it a clip. Okay, there we go. This little bit goes in the trash, and the bobbin is still, I'll just have to raise the bobbin thread again when I get ready to start stitching. All right, so I'm going to take you around to the other side so that you can see me working on the pantograph. After I clamp it first, actually, let's do that first. Let's clamp the sides of this quilt. And I have, on this machine, it came with all of this stuff, so that's pretty cool. And you can see even I have another project right there in the works, but it's okay. So this one came with 2 Velcro pieces. So this is one, it's a little bit bigger. And then I have these 2 on the side. So I have these little short ones on each side. And depending on the size of the project, that determines which one of these I'll use. So I'm going to use the larger clamps for this. I'm going to scoot this the batting back a little bit. And then undo the Velcro. You can hear it there, maybe. And then I'm just going to take the clamp, open it up as wide as I can, and it's really sturdy, really tight. All right, and then I just put it on the fabric. I figured the batting is held down with the basting. It's held well enough. Plus, it'll pull. I think if I just attach it to the batting, it'll pull. All right, so I'm gonna take it to the here, and I'm just gonna pull the Velcro as tight as I can and put it down. Okay, and then I will do the same thing on the other side. Here we go. I hope you don't get dizzy. Same thing on the other side. And the same clamps are on each side. So I have two of the little black ones. Let me show you. Oh, wait, that's the big one. I have two of the little black ones here. And then the one longer one. So I'm going to take that same step. Let me zoom out just a hair. Okay. Same step. I pull the batting back a little bit. And it's important that you have your backing the same distance on each side. And when you load the quilt, or when you load the quilt backing, there's a way to make sure that you can do that. And I will be going over that in a future video. All right, and so I've pulled it, and now the quilt is ready to be quilted. If we look at the whole thing, it's nice and tight. Not quite like a drum, but it's tight enough to be quilted. All right, we're going to go to the back to the pantograph, and then I'll let you watch me do a little bit of that. So let's check that out. I now am behind the machine. I'm actually in front of the machine. I went ahead and set up my laser light, and I am bringing up my bobbin thread and setting the seam, not setting the seam, setting the stitch, locking the stitch, I should say. And then we'll get to start stitching. And the cool thing about this is that I am using a pantograph. This pantograph is called Alternating Baptist Fan. I really love this particular pantograph for my quilts. I've used it at least 2 times, maybe even 3 times, or this may be the 3rd time, I don't know. So all I have to do is follow the laser light here, and the quilting is going to show up on the other side. So I'll let you watch me. Hopefully you can see it pretty well. And the camera is only going to reach about halfway across. So I will do as much as I can before I run into the camera. And then I'll take you around to the other side to see what it looks like. My bobbin is going to run out. So I think I will speed up the video a little bit. But my bobbin is going to run out, so I'm kind of preparing for that mentally. So when it happens, I'll know to go ahead and swap out. And but I'll stay on camera until I get to the point where I can't, where I'll run into the camera. But hopefully you can see this laser light and see how it goes. All I'm doing is following the line of the light. And as long as my thread is moving, then I know that I have thread in the bobbin. When the thread stops moving, it's either broken or the bobbin is out. I know the bobbin's going to run out soon, so I'm not stressing. And then even if the thread breaks, I'm not stressing about that either. So I just felt the thread stop moving. You see how straight it is here? Well, you might not be able to see it. Let me see. Yeah, so you see how straight that thread is. I know that my bobbin is out. So we're going to change it, and then I'll scoot the camera back just a little bit so that you can see how it goes. Here is what the quilting looks like. It is actually upside down from the way that it was on the back. I hope that you can see the pattern clearly enough, yet it's easier to see here in the lighter fabrics. And my the thread color that I'm using is called Parchment. It's a signature 100% cotton machine quilting thread, and it's parchment, so it's kind of ivory. You can see it maybe here in the gray. But let's see. I did have my bobbin ran out at the beginning, and this is where my thread broke here. So these are my starting where I brought the bobbin thread up and locked the stitch. So I'm going to cut this away, and then it's going to be fine. But let's see, we can see the pattern a little more clearly on the back with that parchment colored thread. Okay, and so each time I will advance the quilt, roll it up onto this back roller, and then when it's all done, I'll be able to take the whole quilt down. So from this point on, I will take the clamps off and then advance the quilt, and I'll baste it like you saw me doing earlier, clamp it down again, and start the next row of quilting. So I had to purchase a few things to make my quilting a little bit more effective on my long arm. In addition to getting the book about the nolting, when I called, somebody suggested that I get the the bobbin winder, and this has made a big difference in my bobbins because they can get really full. I did have to put a little washer on it. I have not replaced this yet. This is just a little washer that I had that I put a layer of hot glue on it, but I'm going to replace it and get an actual rubber washer that's this size to put on the bobbin winder so that I can thread the needle. I also purchased recently a Tawa bobbin case tension gauge to make sure that I have the right tension on the bobbin. And then I've purchased a few replacement bobbins and needles. I was concerned because I could not wind this particular bobbin on the winder until I put the washer on. But once I got the washer, I was like, let me get some extra bobbins. And I do have plenty of needles. The machine came with a lot of needles, but I got some just in case because I am changing needles for every single project. And the long arm goes so fast that I can do many more projects than I was able to do on my domestic machine. I got this is my first batch of replacement thread. That's the Signature brand. I went to a local quilt shop and got this Omni thread that's 100% polyester, and it is like really breaking when I use it on my machine. I'm not sure if the machine just doesn't like it or if I'm not sure how to handle it. But for this quilt, I started with this polyester thread, and it just kept breaking. Like I couldn't even get through one round of quilting. And then I replaced it with the Signature 100% cotton, and it worked like a dream. So I was almost out. I have two bobbins of this, and they're both about right here. So I went ahead and got a replacement. And then there were some other colors that I got. This one, like I said, is called Parchment. And this is actually the 6,000 yards. But for the other ones, I got the 3,000 yards, and that's the Pearl and the Ivory. Pearl is kind of gray or light gray. Ivory is a little bit darker than this. So just starting to replace some of those. I am interested in trying another brand of thread, but I haven't made it there yet. So perhaps when I order the next batch of thread, I might try it, or I might just get one to try it out and see if the machine likes it. I actually bought two of these polyesters, and I'm afraid it was just a waste of money, but no matter. So these are just a few of the items that I purchased. I also got the plastic covering to go over my pantograph. I tried to make one with some vinyl from Walmart, and it just didn't work. So I ordered that, and that seems to be helping as well. I am enjoying working on the long arm because it is so much faster. I don't have to pin baste, and I can get the whole quilt on there and do it in maybe a week or a couple of days, depending on the size. Whereas before on my domestic, it would take a week or longer and many, many hours a day to get it complete. But this helps so much. I'm so pleased with it. And I've practiced free motion a little bit, but once I did the pantograph, I was like, this is on. I love it because it's so easy to access. So really fun. If you have questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm so excited that you're joining me on the Vlogmas journey. Stay tuned tomorrow for another video. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.